Frog Squad, it's John here for Planet Cambo. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the small but mighty Sananga. Sananga it's an eye drop. It's made from the Tabernae montana undulata shrub. The wood is soaked in water for 24 hours. Essentially, it's brewed into a tea that's then filtered, and then that liquid is then your Sananga eye drops. In the jungle, it's used as a hunting medicine. So the hunters put it into their eyes before they go out on a hunt, and it's said to enhance their vision. It increases visual acuity, and it allows them to hunt in that heavy jungle terrain where animals are going to be camouflaged and they can hunt at night. So it allows them to see subtle moves in the jungle. That's the main thing that it does. It's really, in the jungle, it is a hunting medicine, and it's used to improve eyesight. It's also said to really help with various conditions of the eye. So Sananga is a antimicrobial, antifungal, and anti-inflammatory medicine. So it's used to heal various ailments of the eye infections, cataracts, glaucoma. It's also said to open the third eye. So it decalcifies the pineal gland, opens the third eye, and it allows visions. It allows the indigenous to have visions, especially the hunters. They have visions before they hunt. They can actually see the animal that they're going to kill before it happens, so they get sort of inside information of the event before it happens, which allows them to have a more humane and a more efficient kill. Sananga can also be taken in other ways. It can be taken orally, so it can be brewed into a tea, reduced right down to a liquor, or made into a tincture. And it can also be made into a nasal rinse, so it's made into a solution and then squirted up the nose. In the jungle, it is also treated as a general health tonic for human beings. It can help with a wide range of conditions. So if somebody has a fever, or they've got snake bite, poisoning, malaria, these kinds of things, then Sananga can be taken orally or as a nasal rinse to treat those conditions. This is not something I have experience with myself. I've only used Sananga in my eyes. Sananga can be quite poisonous, so I wouldn't advise anybody to use it orally unless they know exactly what they're doing. So what does Sananga feel like? It stings. It stings a lot. So the drops go in the eyes, and then immediately there's this very intense burning, stinging sensation, much like you would imagine if you had lemon juice or chilies squirted into your eyes. It's a very, very sharp burning sensation. And then you feel a euphoric rushing feeling that moves around the whole body, which to me backs up the claim that Sananga doesn't just work in the eyes. It actually works on the whole energy field, and that's something that you can really feel when you use Sananga. When people use Sananga for the first time, there will be an urge to want to sit up and rub the eyes. So when the Sananga's gone in, even when I tell people not to do that, they automatically sit up and rub their eyes, but it's important that they don't. You need to relax and really breathe deeply and just surrender to the experience. The more you can surrender to the Sananga experience, actually, the more pleasurable it will become. So yes, it stings, and yes, it can be painful, but really it's only painful if you resist it. If you really breathe and relax, it will take you on a journey, and it can become quite blissful. So what's the dosage with Sananga? Sananga usually comes in a glass dropper bottle like this, or it might come in a plastic squeezy bottle. The dosage is 1 or 2 drops in each eye. I would say 1 drop if you've never used it before, or you want a light experience. If you're more experienced with it and you want a more intense experience, then you can go with 2 drops. This is if it's good Sananga. If it's strong Sananga, you don't really want to use more than 2 drops. It's best to lay down. You can do it sitting up. You can tilt your head back. It's much easier to do it laying down. You can do it yourself, but it's a lot easier to have somebody else apply it for you. So maybe if you're starting out, you've never done Sananga before, have a friend apply the drops for you. And then if you're using a squeezy bottle, you just suck up some of the liquid into the bottle like that. And then when you squeeze the rubber dropper part at the top, it will come out 1 drop at a time. If you're using a squeezy bottle, then you take the cap off, and then you just grip the bottle, and as you squeeze the bottle, it's going to come out one drop at a time. When you buy Sananga, it usually comes pre-prepared as a liquid, as I showed you in that bottle. You can also get it in its raw form, so you can actually buy the raw wood, either as a powdered wood or a shredded wood, and then that wood you make yourself into the Sananga. So as I said at the beginning of this video, the wood is soaked in water for 24 hours, but you don't use cold water. You essentially boil some water, let it come off the boil so it's not boiling hot, bubbling, and then you put your wood, your shredded or powdered wood, into a bottle or a container, and then you put the hot water in there and you leave that for 24 hours. You can agitate it a few times over the first few hours. You leave that overnight. When it's cooled down, you put it in the fridge. So you let it cool down, put it in the fridge, leave it overnight, and then 24 hours later you now have your Sananga. Then you need to filter it. We usually use coffee filters. So you filter your Sananga, get rid of all of the solid, all of the dust, and you're left with a clear liquid, and that is your Sananga. Now, the amount of water that you use will change the strength. So if you use less water, you're going to have a much stronger Sananga. If you use more water, you're going to have a weaker Sananga. And obviously you can make Sananga a certain strength and you can test it, and then if you find it's too strong, you can dilute it later. One important point about Sananga is that it must be kept in the fridge. In the jungle, when they do it, they have an abundance of this shrub. So they make it and they use it, and then any that's left over, they'll just throw away and they can make more. Obviously in the West, we don't have such access to it. So when we get it, we need to keep it refrigerated to keep the potency. If you leave it out the fridge, it's only going to last for a couple of weeks before it loses potency. If you keep it in the fridge, you should get at least 3 months, probably 3 to 6 months before it loses potency. Colloidal silver is also added to it. That acts as a preservative. Now, colloidal silver is also very antibacterial, but it does act as a preservative. So when it's added to Sananga, you get this 3 to 6 months shelf life when it's kept in the fridge. Sananga is completely legal globally. There are no restrictions. It's not illegal in any countries as far as I know. So you can purchase Sananga completely legally. You can use it legally. There's no problems there. One thing I would say though is, as with any product, when you import products, depends on where you live, you can have delays in transit. That's one thing that you can't really legislate for. So if you order some Sananga online and it gets stuck in customs checks, that's when you can have a problem where if it goes beyond 2 weeks, potentially you're going to have loss of potency. That's not something you can do a lot about, but you might want to check that with the provider, the person you're buying the Sananga from. You might want to ask them what they do in the case where a delivery has been delayed. In terms of the science behind Sananga, Sananga does contain a plethora of alkaloids that have shown to be antimicrobial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, but there's no hard science to back up the claim that it affects eyesight, that it would improve eyesight in that way. All the evidence is anecdotal. That's not to say it doesn't do that, but that it's just that there hasn't been enough research done to prove that it actually does do these things. Also, there are different species of Sananga. So the one that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the Tabernae montana undulata, is one species. There are other species, and the ingredients, the alkaloid content will be slightly different in each one. The effects will be slightly different, although they're from the same family. But more research definitely needs to be done into this before any real claims can be made about what it does. But it's one of those things where you just need to try it and see what it does for you. Some people report amazing benefits in eyesight. Other people don't really notice any difference. So it's one of those things you're going to have to try it yourself and just see what it does for you. Now I'm going to take you through a very simple 5-step protocol for applying Sananga to yourself. In this protocol, I'm going to describe it as if you're going to apply it to yourself. If you get somebody else to apply it for you, then obviously you just adjust it slightly and you get them to do the bit where they actually put the Sananga in your eyes. So step 1 is to prepare a space. You're going to be working with a sacred medicine, so prepare a sacred space. Put some music on, light some incense, make sure the room is clean and tidy, so you treat this medicine with respect. Remember, you're going to keep your Sananga refrigerated, so the first thing you need to do is actually take the Sananga out of the fridge. So now you have your bottle of Sananga, Also make sure you have a tissue handy in your other hand. Step 2, you're going to give the bottle a good shake. So what can happen with Sananga is the sediment will sink to the bottom, and that will be where the strongest part of the liquid is. So you want to give it a good shake, make sure it's thoroughly mixed, and then you're going to suck up some of the liquid into the dropper. Obviously, if you're using a plastic squeezy bottle, you don't do that. You're just going to remove the cap and you're going to get ready, grip the bottle gently in between your thumb and first finger. Step 3, and now we're actually going to apply the Sananga. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can do this sitting up. I'm going to demonstrate sitting up because I'm making this video, but it is easier to lay down. So you can lay on a sofa, your bed, or the floor. You can use a pillow for your head, but you want to make sure that your head is tilted back because you don't want the drops running down. You want it to be able to actually go into your eye. So after you've sucked up that liquid into the dropper, you're going to place the bottle, the rest of the bottle, on a hard surface such as a table, so it's out the way. So you've got that bottle is now out the way, which I'm going to do, and you've got your dropper here. Obviously, if you're using the plastic bottle, it's not the same. You're just going to be holding a plastic bottle, and the cap's going to be out the way. And then you're going to put a drop in the corner of each eye. Now, I'm not actually going to do it because if I did, it would start stinging. It would be very difficult to continue making this video. So a drop in the corner of each eye. When you've done that, then you can just place that dropper in the tissue that you're holding in your other hand, and you can just put that down on the bed or the floor or the sofa next to you so it's out the way. And now the drops are sitting in the corner of each eye and you're ready to go. Step 4, and now the process is going to begin. So you now blink your eyes. So your eyes were closed. Now you're going to blink your eyes a few times. You're going to rotate your eyes around. The liquid's going to go in. As soon as you feel that stinging, you're going to close your eyes again and you're going to breathe and relax and resist that urge to want to sit up and rub your eyes. Just really try and relax into the process. And then you're going to ride that wave, the stinging, the wave of stinging. You're going to ride it until it subsides. It will probably last around 1 to 2 minutes. It shouldn't last much longer than that. Step 5, and now we're just going to repeat that process. So you've applied the Sananga, you've closed your eyes, the stinging is happening. When it subsides, you're going to blink your eyes again, rotate them round, and you're going to get another wave of stinging, and it's probably going to be stronger than the first one. You ride that wave, and then when that subsides, you just repeat that process. You blink your eyes again a few times, rotate them round, and you usually get 3, maybe 4 waves. And each one should be about 1 to 2 minutes. So the whole process isn't going to last more than maybe 3 to maybe 8 to 10 minutes at the absolute max. It's usually going to be less than that. And you just ride each wave, and then when all the stinging has subsided and it's completely finished, then you can wipe your eyes with a tissue and the process is finished. So to sum up, Sananga is a shamanic eye drop. It's quite a powerful medicine, but it's also one of the more milder medicines in terms of its effects. So it ticks a lot of boxes in terms of a medicine that's good for somebody who's not particularly experienced with these kinds of things. It's legal, it's not psychoactive, it's not a psychedelic medicine, it's relatively quick, it's something you can just do at home yourself. But for those of you looking for a more powerful experience, maybe a psychedelic experience, you're going to be disappointed. Sananga is not that kind of medicine. Now, as I said, many people swear by its ability to enhance their vision. Some people say it opens their third eye, allows them to access spiritual dimensions. None of this has been proven scientifically. It's all anecdotal evidence. So, you know, it's one of those things you're going to have to do your own research, make a decision about whether this is something you want to work with. And then if you decide it is, then you can go ahead and try it. But it's not going to be, it's not going to be a super powerful psychedelic experience that you'll get with Sananga. So thanks for watching. I hope you found this video informative. If you've got any questions, please just ask them in the comments below and I'll answer all of those questions personally. So that's all from me for now, and I'll see you in the next video.